You can hear me okay? That's all good?
Yeah, it's all perfect. The sound, the video, the lighting's okay.
Great, great, great. Awesome, mate.
Perfect, mate. Hello, how are you, everybody? Hello, boys and girls. This is Alejandro Castillo streaming live from Mexico City, the largest city in the world. Today, well, for me, in Mexico City, Saturday, August the 1st, 6 p.m. For my guest today is it's Sunday, 9 a.m. in Melbourne, Australia. And well, I'm very glad to have here in the episode number 83, no, 84, sorry, 84, to my mate, Ben Abbott, directly from Melbourne, Australia. Hello, Ben. How's everything over there in Australia right now?
Hey, mate, how you doing? Yeah, really, really, really good. It's a lovely, lovely day on Sunday morning. Yeah, looking forward to getting out in the sun and enjoying the day. It's been a good weekend so far. So yeah, nice little way to kickstart a Sunday morning.
Well, always is a great weather in Australia, right?
Oh, yeah. In theory, it's you get some nicer and probably more consistent weather up in Queensland, the northern sort of states of Australia. Melbourne is sort of known for they call it 4 seasons a day sort of thing. So Melbourne they might predict something, but you might get your rain, your wind, your storms, your sun. It could vary, it could change in the blink of an eye kind of thing. But today we're very fortunate in Melbourne. It's a great day.
Okay, that's great to hear that, Ben. And well, how's everything with this Corona thing over there in Australia?
Yeah, mate. So it's different per state as well in Australia here as well. So we right now Australia is doing okay. Where each individual state's challenging and battling the COVID-19 virus in its own every way, and everyone's sort of in different restrictions and stages. Unfortunately, Melbourne, Victoria, which is down the southern part of Australia, is doing it slightly tougher than every other state throughout the country. It's slightly, I guess, tighter restrictions. Um, Around the world is probably about the same, but yeah, it's very much so. Just everyone, only going out for what's important, what's needed, and should be staying home, staying healthy, obviously to protect themselves and obviously those around them. So yeah, it's not too bad, mate. It's unfortunately one of those things where you just sort of have to go with the flow, and yeah, everyone's sort of, I guess, just battling with the world crisis as it is at the moment. But mate, everyone's staying happy, everyone's staying positive, and yeah, looking towards when all this eventually just sort of wrapped up.
Yes, I hope so that this can end pretty soon because we want to be back in the things we love: sports, outdoor sports, beach volleyball, and all of that things.
Absolutely, mate. Don't we all?
Well, right now in California is playing for the third straight week the AVP.
Oh, mate,
Great,
I've been tuning in. I've been checking in.
yeah, great event. I was watching that a few minutes ago. April Ross won her match, and he's in the semifinal. And right now
Yeah,
he's
wow.
playing Melissa Humana and Sarah Pavan, the world champions.
Wow, it's a constant battle over there, isn't it, between those two? Yeah, so April Ross, Alex Kleiman, and yeah, obviously Melissa Humana Perez and
Sarah
her
Pavan.
partner, yeah, Sarah Pavan. Yeah, it's just incredible. Like, obviously the world champions last year, but yeah, the Americans obviously in red hot form, and it's very individual and I guess special circumstance over there. They're very fortunate to be able to play those three tournaments, and they're quite big tournaments. Obviously, the AVP have done a tremendous job putting on those events. No fans, but still being able to put forward some awesome tournaments, awesome venues, all that sort of thing, involving people like you interviewed DJ Roche the other day.
Jeremy Richey is there. Mark Schwerman is working also in AVP. Great
Mark
guy.
Schuman's there, absolutely. Yeah, no. So it's a few of my buddies, a few of our buddies actually, who are doing their thing overseas, and strutting around the United States. rocking the beautiful beach volleyball game. So yeah, mate, it's very, very envious, very, very jealous of what's happening over there. But it looks great. Like, what a setup.
Yeah, looks great. Well, Jeremy Ruchet was here last week. Great guy, my buddy. And
Yeah,
I
mate.
hope that next week maybe Sherman can be here. Last
Great.
week I had Casey Patterson, I had Dane Blanton. Great personalities in beach volleyball.
Mate, you've got some good friends in some high places, hey?
Oh yes, of course. I'm doing a lot of friends around the world, including you, mate.
Mate, it's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate you taking the time to have a chat.
No, I really appreciate that you accepted the invitation. I hope that Ayumi and Daisuke and Tiffany and Michael Wong can join us in a few minutes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I invited them, so I hope they can be here. And well, also they are playing a one-star world tour, in Croatia this weekend.
Are they really?
Yes, of course.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's the first FIVB event in 4 months. A one star, but well, something is better than nothing.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. They're playing, I think, in Ljubljana, Croatia. Yeah, they're playing a one star.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. No, very jealous then. That would be the first World Tour event since, I guess, everything sort of unfolded, didn't it?
Yeah, I think the last one was in Qatar, where the Mexican team in
Yeah.
the
That
men's
was,
side made a
yep.
great tournament.
That was, yeah, unbelievable. Yeah. That was a huge, huge tournament for those guys. Yeah. I remember them knocking over Bruno and Evandro in the semis.
Yeah, Bruno and Evander in the semis, they lost in the final match with Poland. But in the semifinal, this guy, Rubio, his nickname is Wero Tiwi, he made 10 points of blocking in one game
Wow.
over Evandro. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, 10 points in itself in beach volleyball, very impressive, but especially blocking. But yeah, especially on a Bandro, who's, I don't know his exact height, but he's a tower of power,
I
as they say.
I
So
think it's
that's
I think
impressive.
it's 2 meters and 13 or 14,
Yeah,
something like that. It's a giant.
absolute monster, absolute monster. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot for being here, Ben. We will talk about your beginnings in volleyball, about your involvement doing MC, doing DJ. I will be very honored. I think that probably you remember that 1 year ago you were working in Lima in the Pan Am
yes, mate.
Games.
Yeah, yeah, that was one of probably my favorite experiences traveling and working overseas. So I guess my journey started maybe just a year before that, or not even a year before that. But yeah, to be able to go over to work in Lima, Peru, and be a part of the Pan American Games and the Pan American Games was unbelievable. And it's being over in South America, it was great because you guys you love your sports, you love your party and your celebrations and whatever it may be. So when we're over there, for me personally, my job it felt easy. Even though there was a language barrier, so English to Spanish and everything like that, there was still that I guess ease in terms of communicating with the crowd. A bit of I guess a body language sort of conversation with the guys and with the fans. And yeah, mate, it was just unbelievable. It was a great time.
Right, we will talk a little about that. Angelo Negri says this guy is a machine. I think he's referring to, I don't know if it's for you or for this Mexican guy, the beach volleyball player.
So yeah, no. Hey, Angelo, how you doing, mate? He's a volleyball mate of mine in Australia here, and he's I think he came up with a little saying every time we played on the volleyball court, because I still play volleyball, which is great. Very thankful for that. But he would yell from the sidelines or on the court itself, saying "You are a machine." So a little I guess confidence booster and ego booster from my mate there. Thanks, mate.
Great, Ben. Thanks for sharing. Well, please tell us something about your beginnings. Did you start in playing volleyball or another sport? How was your involvement? Did you play beach or indoor or play at the club level, college level? Please tell us something about that.
Yeah, so I guess with my first step into the volleyball world was through school, like most people. Everyone starts playing volleyball in school. I was about 14 years old, started playing indoor volleyball, and I lived in a northern state of Australia, so Queensland, which is on the sort of northeast coast of Australia. Once the schooling volleyball finished, I ventured into beach volleyball as well as indoor. So I was sort of balancing the two, never really choosing a chosen discipline, whether it be beach or indoor. And ended up playing to this day, still both beach and indoor volleyball. Fortunate enough to, sort of play junior development and play at the national championships in the junior stages. And then, playing club volleyball all these years, since about the age of 19, 20 years old. Beach volleyball, playing on the state tours, on the national tours, all that sort of thing. So, the guys, Damien Schumann, Chris McHugh, Isaac Kappa back in the day. There was guys like Josh Slack, who was kicking around, Josh Court, all those names out there, playing a bit of volleyball. And obviously the upcomers as well, Zach Schubert and Max Bura, Marcus Ferguson, Tim Dixon floating around, Paul Burnett, all those guys still kicking around, which is great. But obviously this time, or these days, still play the sport and enjoy it. But I take that slight step back, and I've got a microphone in my hand, and I play a bit of music on the Australian tour and just enjoy it there. So, mate, still dabble in the sport and still have a good time playing around there. But I think a lot of the enjoyment these days comes from, like you say, overseas. Whether it be emceeing or on the Australian tour and playing beach volleyball and whatever else, DJing and all that sort of stuff as well. So it's, mate, still kicking around, and it'll be a long, long time until somebody says, Ben, you can't be a part of volleyball anymore.
But you played both at that time, indoor, beach, indoor.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so indoor started everything, and then, like I said, being in a sunnier and a warmer part of Australia drew me to the beach volleyball courts. And between you and me, I actually prefer beach volleyball a little bit more. I love the atmosphere and the party sort of vibe that it is. Beach volleyball, you're out in the sun, you're out in the weather. You got to work harder on the court. Wouldn't go as far as, I'll probably say a little bit more like skillful. Got to have that extra, I guess, nicer touch on the volleyball court, beach volleyball court. And, beach volleyball, you sort of think a little bit more as well, tactically, what you're going to do from, the baseline to coming onto the court, playing the game a little bit more, targeting a certain part of the court and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, mate, just I think being out on the court and the beach and, with music playing, all that sort of stuff, it's a very different vibe to indoor. Unfortunately, volleyball's not that big in Australia. It is getting there. We're on the rise. COVID's put a stop to that as well. But mate, it's we're coming through. You guys like you would know Talika Clancy and Maria Faye Altacho del Solar. Those guys are top 5 in the world right now. 3rd of the world champs last year. Won the silver at the Commonwealth Games in 2018. We've got a lot of young players coming through. So I think Australian volleyball, especially beach specifically, will be right up there in the coming years.
Right. Well, I hope they can. Australia can repeat the milestone in Sydney 2000 with the gold medal for women with Natalie Cook and Corey Porhurst. How was the impact of that gold medal for the Australian sport and for the Australian beach volleyball?
Yeah, obviously massive. Being able to do it on our home sand and in Sydney, which everyone I guess forgets that it's not actually our capital city, but is one of the biggest cities on the east coast of Australia. Natalie Cook, Kerry Pothas, doing an amazing thing at that time, and inspired a lot of junior athletes, both men and women, to really strive and push in the sport of not only beach volleyball but indoor as well. So it was obviously huge. And there's Maria Faye Altacho del Solar. She's actually from New South Wales or Sydney, and she is one of the few players in Australia that started on the sand. Didn't come from an indoor background, just started playing beach volleyball right from scratch. And you can tell, obviously, she's one of the best players and best defensive players around the world. So huge for the sport. And to this day, Kerry Potthast, Natalie Cook, they still spread the good word, spread the good volleyball word, and is, inspiring the juniors and the future generation to get out there and really give it a red hot crack, trying to, or looking to repeat, that amazing gold medal back in 2000. So hopefully, like you say, Taliqua Clancy, Maria Faya Touchado Salah, we'll be able to repeat and tick some boxes next year in 2021. Fingers crossed it all actually goes ahead. Yeah.
Did you attend Bondi Beach at that time, or were you too young?
I was pretty young. I was the age of 9 at that time, and to be honest, mate, I didn't know what volleyball was. Until I actually started playing, the age of 14, I got confused between volleyball and netball. I was calling volleyball netball, completely different sports. But yeah, mate, no, very, very young at that stage. And I think I was enjoying the Olympics, but no, volleyball was unfortunately not on the radar for me at that point.
Which are the first Olympics you remember to watching?
It would be 2000, but it'd be the athletics. So Kathy Freeman, when she won her 400-meter sprint there, and then there was, in Australia, they love to put on athletics, your marathons or your cycling, but especially swimming. Back in those days, Australia was quite high up there and dominant in the swimming world. And the likes of Ian Thorpe, Susie O'Neill, Grant Hackett, all those sort of guys, were dominating the pool back then. So I think 2000 was there. A very memorable one, especially the opening ceremony, was Beijing in China in 2008. London, Rio. Yeah, Rio was really cool being able to see on the beach volleyball on Copacabana Beach. That was unbelievable. And the people lining up to get into that stadium court, and the atmosphere that was created there. So, and Australia had 2 beach volleyball women's teams competing there, which was great. So at that point, there was no Taliqua and Maria Fay. There was, they were playing in separate partners. So it was Taliqua and Louise Borden, and then it was Maria Fay and Nikki Laird, if those names ring a bell. Lou Borden played multiple games for Australia, both indoor and beach. I think she was a part of this Sydney 2000 indoor team, and then I guess progressed into the beach volleyball world and played with Taliqua. Bakara Palmer actually played at London 2012 Olympics. I guess probably those ones there when I started to know and understand a bit more about the volleyball world and the volleyball sport was when I really sort of checked in and tuned in. Like I said, the volleyball sport in Australia is still growing. When there's Olympics on in this country, it's not necessarily televised right at the start of the day or at the forefront of the media world, but I find it. I look for it and I track it down. Make sure I'm always having a bit of a look.
Ben, how rough is the road for growing the volleyball in Australia? I mean, I spoke a month ago with Mark Lebedeau, this Australian coach,
Yes,
and he told me, well, it's difficult because you have a lot of rugby, a lot of athletics, a lot of swimming. How difficult is the road for volleyball in Australia to grow?
Yeah, I think, like I say, the sport's growing. We've got some really great community members throughout the country that actually are pushing for some permanent courts on beaches where, obviously people can go down and can play socially at their leisure, all that sort of thing. That's sort of the battle at the moment, is being able to get some more permanent courts out there and actually expose the sport, to more and more Australians. Because I think the biggest thing is, you tell people even to this day in Australia, oh, you play volleyball, and they sort of throw their head back and, oh, volleyball, that's different. That's you don't play AFL, you don't play like rugby, you don't all that sort of stuff. And being able to play volleyball is obviously unique. And then it's I think the more that people talk about it, the more I guess the social courts and whatever else go up around the country, the more that people are exposed to it, will obviously make that difference. And, it's the biggest thing is getting people to understand the sport and how big and how fun it can actually be, especially, I guess, the beach volleyball world. We've got such great weather in Australia on a pretty regular basis. And we were supposed to have the 3-star World Tour event here in March this year. Unfortunately, with everything that went on, couldn't go ahead. So, yeah, I think if we sort of get more and more tournaments out here, the Commonwealth Games in 2018 was huge, like unbelievable for the country and for the sport in Australia. And we had a lot of people, a lot of fans come down and check it out. That's why I think we're Volleyball Australia. We're looking forward to, being able to host a World Tour 3-star event in March. So yeah, the more exposure and the more tournaments that, we can get out here, obviously the better, because people, I don't think quite understand how exciting and how fun volleyball sport can be.
So, did you host only a 3-star annually?
Yeah, so we didn't actually get to host a 3-star. I think the highest we've hosted is a 2-star. 3-star was going to be our biggest. Yeah, so we've always hosted events in Sydney, Australia, on Manly Beach there. Beautiful part of the world. And then this year was up to Queensland. Very, very close, if not on the exact same part of the beach where the Commonwealth Games was hosted 2 years ago. So yeah, we looking forward to that. We had some huge names coming out, both in the men's and women's draws and competitions. But yeah, just didn't quite get to go ahead, unfortunately.
Oh, well, we have to be blessed so in Mexico because we have a 4-star. Well, we had a 4-star last year, and we were intended to have a 4-star in March. It was suspended and is supposedly to be played in next November, the 4-star. But I'm not so sure about that. I'm not.
Yeah.
The government, the local government, they say it's okay. They have the money. The problem is that the teams. How can they travel to
Yeah,
Cancun?
that's the challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, but well, obviously as a fan, well, I want that, but I think it's very very hard that we can host that event.
Yeah, I can understand. To put on a world class event. The world tour format's changing as well. But to be able to put on a world tour event, I don't think people realize how much funding and how much organization and how much manpower as well actually goes into putting on one of those events. I'm fortunate in the sense where, Volleyball Australia, we've got to work for absolutely everything in terms of putting on a world class event. And so help out here and there to get the sport off the ground, to expose it more. But if we in Australia, if we can host a 4 or even a 5-star event in Australia in the coming years, it would be unbelievable. Yeah, it would be great.
Yeah, I can imagine. And but do you remember if any Australian team, men or women, are still in the race for the Olympic qualification?
So our top women's team, Talika Clancy and Maria Tacho del Salar, they're top 5 in the world. So they're looking in a very, very promising position. They're looking to qualify, and you would think they will be at the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. The men's team went to the qualifiers, and they're in the qualifying stage. And they're in New Zealand battling them for a spot in the next phase of the competition. Unfortunately, New Zealand got the better of us in that tournament there. They played some unbelievable beach volleyball, and taking out both of our top teams at that tournament there. So New Zealand went through to the next phase of the qualifying process, and Australia's got to take another couple of phases to be able to get there. So I think we can definitely get there. We're definitely competitive and definitely up there. The Australian top men's team, Chris McHugh, Damien Schumann, they are, they've had some really good form leading up to that sort of tournament there. They were, getting a couple of gold medals on some World Tour events, 1-stars, 2-stars, kicking around the Asian Tour as well. I would love to think that those guys are on a really good path towards the Tokyo 2021 Olympics. But volleyball's a funny sport. You know, it can be whoever turns up on the day. It can be you can be the best team in the world, but if you know, somebody's making some great defensive plays and you know, aggressive serving and whatever it may be, like I said, it all comes down to the day itself. So it's a funny sport like that, but that's what makes it great, isn't it?
Yeah, well, in the other part, I think that beach volleyball has the opportunity or give the opportunity to a lot of countries that they can make the Olympics. For example, here in Norseca, we have a lot of Caribbean islands that they can be almost impossible to go to Olympics in indoor. For example, 4 years ago, Costa Rica in the women's side came to Mexico to win the Olympic qualification, the Continental Cup, and they went to the Olympics. Costa
Oh
Rica,
wow.
very small country, and I think that's one of the advantage of beach volleyball, for the Olympics.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you can be the smallest country in the world, the biggest country in the world, whatever else of that. But yeah, it's like we say, the volleyball sport itself, it's not necessarily you know, how good you are and whatever else of that. You know, the top level teams are all at such a high standard. And you know, you could rock up on the day and you could, you know, everything might be going really well. We talk about it. I guess I remember being coached and even playing to this day, being on the sand, you know, not to overthink a great deal of points. It's more so just play it out and see how you're feeling and see how it's all unfolding. And you could be having a good day simply by just serving the ball in, or you know, making a good pass or whatever it may be. But yeah, it's exciting, and it's very cool that like you say, the small countries like Costa Rica, you know, those guys there can push, you know, the top Olympic athletes and the top countries around the world. You know, purely by having a good day.
And I think in your area also, 4 years ago, Vanuatu in the women's side was very close to
Yeah,
qualify, right?
yes, absolutely. So the Vanuatu ladies were actually coached by an Australian mate of mine from Queensland as well, who helped me in my junior ranks and junior days. Shannon Zunker, he did a very good job with the Vanuatu women's national program, even the men's program as well. Had more success in the women's program, who were also coached by another Australian. Lauren, her last name now is Soderberg. You know, partner of, you know, Bo Soderberg.
Yes, of course.
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah, the Danish national team player, and he's still dominating some Australian and Danish national tours beach volleyball events. But yeah, so excuse me, the women's national Vanuatu team, you know, did very well, very successful at the Commonwealth Games as well. Yeah, getting more and more exposure to the sport and the high level competition around the world, which is great to see.
Great. Um, and well, please, Ben, we will go a little back to your beginnings
Yep.
during this your current activity in volleyball, the MC part and the DJ part,
Yes.
which is amazing. I'm also doing a little of that here in Mexico.
Yep.
I really enjoying because it's not just play music. It's not just a thing of press play and press stop. It's a thing. I was talking with Rocher 10 days ago. It's a matter of reading the audience, reading the crowd, and 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 in, and knowing in which moment you put some kind of music in English, or in my case in Spanish, some rock and roll, some hip hop, some Latin music, and it's great. And with this monster block thing, and with this super spike and
Yep.
aces,
Yep. The great moments.
it creates a great environment in both in indoor and beach, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's I mean, obviously DJ Roche, you know, the likes of him, DJ Starry, DJ Toby Rudwig, all that sort of stuff. You know, those guys know how to orchestrate a crowd. You know, I've had the pleasure of working with DJ Starry and DJ Roche. DJ Roche was in Peru with me last year. We're doing the indoor volleyball there. Um, and DJ Starry, got to work with him in Tokyo last year as well. And we were going to obviously meet back up at the Olympics when it goes ahead, if it goes ahead. But yeah, they're 100% correct in terms of, you know, being able to read the crowd and, you know, being able to play the music to the style of volleyball that's happening, to the standard of volleyball, whether it be an exciting point, just an error point or whatever it may be. But, still being able to activate and motivate the crowd to be able to do stuff. Those guys there are so impressive in being able to orchestrate and getting the crowd to be animated and doing stuff around the sport of volleyball. And, it makes the MC life and a whole lot easier, being able to read a crowd. And it's quite a skill. It's quite a talent. And when I say I sort of, I guess, DJ the Australian Beach Volleyball Tour, people joke about the DJs and pressing play and all that sort of stuff. That's literally what I do. There's a special program I use that has your laptop laid out in front of you. You'll hit, for example, the letter F. It'll play a certain song at a certain part of the song. And that will be, the sting, as they say, to play in between points and all that sort of stuff. And you got to be able to read the crowd. And especially in Australia, Australian fans are all about just relaxing and enjoying the sport, not necessarily getting right into it, especially volleyball where they're still learning and being exposed to the sport. But being able to play the right music, the right style and standard of music where people are still having a good time. They're not really necessarily being annoyed by the style of music you're playing. You're not going to play on the very first day of the very first game, the very first set. You're not going to play, an absolute banger where it's just blasting music and exciting big play sort of into the stands. You'll start it out with, like you say, a hip hop or an R&B or something like that, sort of slow, low going beats, and you build into your game, you build into your tournament, and you're building the excitement by playing just simple music, and the tone of the music and the setup of the music really excites the crowd, excites the players, motivates the players to play even better, which obviously gets the crowd going. And like I say, it's an impressive skill that those guys have, and I've never seen crowds jump up and about and around like DJ Roche and like DJ Starry have done around the world. It's amazing.
We have a message says Erin Patton says great chat, Ben.
Hi, Aaron. Yeah, no, it's a friend of mine up in Queensland looking after me, making me a couple of masks for Victoria and stuff. And Aaron, just like to say they are doing an amazing job, very, very comfortable. So yeah, no, thank you, Aaron.
So at what age and in which tournament did you start to DJ and MCing? In beach or in indoor? How was this transition or this attraction to do this kind of job?
Yeah, I guess I was playing beach volleyball, and we around obviously on the tour, we had an MC and a DJ. His name was DJ Torley. Used to play on the Australian Beach Volleyball Tour and stuff as well. And what I was able to see and enjoy was a guy who, could orchestrate a crowd and play music and enjoy and have a good time talking. I guess it was almost about his friends and to his friends on the volleyball court, and that was about 2017. So I was 26 years old when I first sort of saw and noticed, emceeing and DJing, and the effects it had on the players and the crowd and all that sort of thing. And I guess the back end of that, we hosted a 2-star event in Sydney, Manly, and I just put my hand up and said, "Hey, mate, do you mind if I, come and sit behind you, shadow, have a look, and see what you guys are all about up in the tent?" I was sitting there and I was like checking it out and sort of taking notes and writing stuff down and filming stuff and trying to, I guess, understand, how it all unfolded and how it worked. And next minute, DJ Torley's handed me a microphone, put it in my hand, and said, "Off you go, mate." And it was, a bit of a shock and we're doing this right now sort of thing. But I guess the best advice he gave me straight off the bat was, just have a go and talk about what you see. The sport, the players, pretend like you're talking to them, and literally just sort of analyze and process what you've seen on court in front of you. And that was 26 years old, 2017 was my first event, and then doing odd drips and drabs with Volleyball Australian Beach Tour, still working alongside DJ Torley. I would do some live streaming stuff for Volleyball Australia and the Australian National Indoor League. And And then, it sort of continued from there. At that point, again, being exposed to a World Tour event in Sydney, which then Volleyball Australia sent me to Thailand to be a part of the FIVB workshop. And that's where I met, all the big players, all the legends of our sport, and all the famous names around the entertainment that we have for beach volleyball, indoor volleyball, all that sort of thing. And now that I'm very fortunate, I consider myself very lucky to be a part of that now. And it really took off probably about, I think, April last year was when I met them.
In Thailand. In Thailand? The
In
workshop?
Thailand.
Yes, I remember. Yeah, I raised my hand to be in the next workshop.
Oh, mate, I hope we can catch up and actually meet in person. That would be unbelievable. I've only seen and heard good things about you, my friend. And it'd be great to, obviously have you there the next time a workshop can actually go ahead. Or if an event's in Mexico and we can work together at some point, that'd be really cool.
That could be really amazing, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'd be a really cool time.
And well, did you DJ also in the Nations League? Australia is competing in the Nations League or just in the World League?
We're in the Volleyball Nations League. So we hosted an event in Brisbane last year in June. We had, that was when myself and DJ Tawley worked together. He was DJing / MCing, and I was MCing, so I'd be down on the court and courtside in front of the fans, up and down the grandstands, all that sort of thing. And we don't get to host many international indoor tournaments here, so when we chucked it on, we were able to put on a good show and just enjoy it and have a bit of fun. And myself and DJ Tawley are both from Queensland originally, and I guess a part of the volleyball world from up there. So it was really cool to be able to go back and talk about the top level sport, but also do it to friends and family that we knew from all those years.
Yes, really cool. And do you work in another sports or just volleyball?
I currently work in soccer, or football as they call it. So I'm a part of a club from Melbourne as well called Melbourne City, as part of the Hyundai A-League. I MC all their home games and family days and everything to do with the club essentially. And was fortunate enough to be a part of it last season / the current season. We've been postponed and delayed with our seasons this year, and they're sort of only just finishing off their season now. Unfortunately, there's no sport right now in Victoria. Unfortunately, we are the worst hit down here. When it all does come back, it's been great to be a part of that club and a part of the National League for football or for soccer. Progressing and growing within the club has been really cool, and looking forward to being able to get back into a stadium and being able to be a part of that sporting culture again, because it's a pretty unique and it's a pretty cool thing. But I think I still prefer volleyball over everything. It's a lot more interactive. It's fast paced. It's quick. There's a lot of music. It's a bit of a party. Football, it's you do your basic lead up and your stats, and you're talking about the players and the teams and all that sort of stuff and the club, and then you might have a chat with one player at the end of the day, maybe some games at halftime, all that sort of thing. But it's not quite fast paced and interactive as volleyball, and definitely not as upbeat with the music and a bit of a party, as we say. So it's definitely, regardless of the sport, regardless of what I get to work in, and still trying to expose myself and get myself out into the sporting world in terms of emceeing or basic DJing or whatever else of that. But looking to expand into further sports. Fingers crossed, actually looking to get into the NBL, the National Basketball League in Australia here, and be a part of that, because that's really taken off and really rocketing right now. It's very similar as well to the volleyball world, where you play a bit of music and being able to animate and MC point by point or whatever it may be. Like DJ Roche, for example, is the DJ of the LA Lakers. Just so envious and so jealous of that. That's an unbelievable job he has.
Well, here in Mexico, I have also worked with basketball, of course, with the
Oh, wow,
collegiate
great.
the
Yep.
collegiate league. Very, very, very entertaining, very funny. I also made American football.
No way. That's unreal. Yeah,
American,
that'd be cool.
yeah, American football here in Mexico is very, very popular, and the college league of American football is top here in Mexico City, in Mexico, in the whole country. And
Yep.
I was working with them last year, and I also made the taekwondo.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Very
yeah,
cool.
it was a little weird, but it was entertaining at the end.
Yeah.
Volleyball, beach volleyball. I think
Yep.
swimming also is you can do a lot of things with music in swimming also.
Okay.
And yeah, it's interesting. But did you have the opportunity to work in rugby in Australia? I know that rugby is big, or is
Right.
not rugby, or is not so common to put music in rugby.
Yeah, I haven't actually been to a rugby game or a rugby match in a couple of years now. Um, and I guess next every sport and every event that I go to now, it's you can't help but sort of sit back and admire or acknowledge the sports entertainment or sports production behind it, or whether it be an MC or a DJ, whatever else of that. Rugby itself, I don't know how much I guess sports presentation goes into it. I'd imagine it'd be very similar to the soccer or the football. Um, and yeah, doing the big lead up to the kickoff and the halftime and all that sort of stuff. And um, yeah, I guess the music and all that sort of stuff. I think it'd be a very similar format to football or soccer in terms of when they play music, how they play music, all that sort of thing. I think rugby sevens would be a whole different ball game. I know DJ Starry has done the rugby sevens before. He's been a massive part of their rugby over in Germany and all that sort of stuff. And being a bit more of a party. And I think that's what a lot of sports are actually sort of changing the dynamic of their game in terms of shortening or speeding up each and every style of their sport, and shortening it, whether it be volleyball, where there's the king of the court, whether there's rugby sevens, whether there's cricket, and they do the 2020. There's so many different variations like that where they're trying to introduce and actually use sports presentation a whole lot more. Trying to engage the crowd, because some of those sports they can kind of drag out a little bit, and that's where yourself, the DJs, the MCs, and all that sort of thing around the world can actually really kickstart the sports presentation and the fan engagement around the world and around the sport.
Yes, of course. Please, I have a doubt. Which sport is bigger in Australia? Rugby or cricket or soccer?
So we've got a national sport similar to, when I say similar to the NFL, not anywhere near the same sports, but we've got a national sport called the Australian Football League, and that's probably the biggest sport around the country. And then it would be closely followed by your rugby league and your rugby union. Soccer would be probably the fourth sport off the ranks. But definitely, pushing those top sports and getting some good fan base over the past couple of years for sure.
But what is exactly Australian football? Or I have heard of that, but I'm not so sure. What is
Yeah,
like rugby? Is more like American football? They have equipment or what?
yeah. I guess so. The only equipment an Australian footballer would use is football boots or cleats, and that's it. They wear, they pull their socks up to their knees. They've got some very very short shorts and essentially a singlet on, and that's all they have. A couple of guys will wear what you see in the rugby and some headgear and stuff like that to obviously protect the brain and all that sort of stuff. And I guess it's a very interesting sport. I've never actually had to try and describe AFL. It's there's 4 posts at each end. There's 3 gaps, I guess, you've got to try and kick at. If you kick it through the middle, you get 6 points, and that's what you strive for and what you target. And then if you miss to either side, it's only 1 point. You can move the ball up and down the ground, forward, backwards. You can, what they call a hand pass. You can kick. They're the 2 main skills you'd use to move the ball around the field. I think there's, I might get in trouble for this because this is very un-Australian, not knowing how many players are actually on the field. I think there's maybe 22 people on the field per team, maybe.
Per team?
Per team on the field.
That's a lot.
Yeah, per team on the field. Like I said, it could be wrong. So for all those Australian football fans, I'm sorry. I need to learn my sport a whole lot better. So there's a lot of players out there, and there's no real zones that you have to stick to. Players can roam around and move up and down the field as they please and how they like. But it's a very fast-paced and quick game, very athletic game, and a lot of it's actually interesting watching people's reactions of our national sport. For example, the Americans, and watching AFL, and we don't use any padding, or we don't use any protective gear or anything like that. Equipment, as you say, to look after the body. So it's very athletic. It's you've got to have a very tough and built body, and definitely a tough mind as well, because some of the contacts and some of the hits are quite cringeworthy. You're definitely sort of, ooh. Yeah, but no, it's a pretty cool sport, and I guess the only way a lot of people still will check out and watch video footage of the sport itself, not quite understand it, but it's a pretty cool, fast, and unique sport that we have in this country for sure.
I will search for a little Australian football in YouTube, because I think I've never seen that. What is the main difference between Australian football and rugby?
So for example, rugby, every single time you say pass the ball, that ball has to go backwards. So you've got to go backwards to go forward. So it's kind of counterintuitive. But with AFL, you can go forwards, backs, sideways, every which way. And the main skill that you'd use in the sport of AFL is to kick. So the accuracy when passing the ball up and down the field with a kick is very impressive. Whether they go high and long, whether they go low and short, and whatever it may be, there's so many different skills and standards and styles that the athletes use. And rugby itself, it's very much so being able to move the ball sideways, create gaps, create spaces between the players and the defensive line. And you'll see guys run different plays when they're sort of, I guess, running around each other and behind, sideways. There might be a pop pass here, and then it might go back the other way. And it's all about creating the gaps and the spaces and trying to confuse that defensive line. Whereas AFL, it's the guys are. It would look like it's a very messy looking sport for somebody with the untrained eye. But it would look like just a whole lot of players in one area following a ball like this sort of thing. It's just moving around, and then all of a sudden the ball would just pop out and it goes 30, 40 meters down the field sort of thing. So it's 2 very, very different sports, but each their own, and very athletic and very impressive in themselves. Yeah.
Okay, I will look for Australian football in YouTube.
Absolutely, yeah. I think I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on it, mate. It's Australian football is a rough sport. It depends what you Google and what you look for as well. Just if you type in Australian Football League, you'll see some pretty impressive games and athletic feats and all that sort of thing. But some of the contacts can be, like I say, rather cringeworthy and a little bit like, ooh.
But, Tracy Barco, I assume that is a friend of you, says 18 per team.
18 per team.
Not 22, 18.
Ugh. I can't even say I was close. That's actually that's actually my mum. Hey, mum.
Okay.
So she's showing me up right now. So I'm sure I'll hear that a bit later on. But yeah, there you go. 18 per team per field. So yeah, even still, that's 36 players on a footy field or
There
on a
are a
sport
lot.
getting oval. So yeah, it's a lot of people for sure.
Okay, Ben, and please tell me, what, for example, we were talking a few minutes ago about the last year Lima Pan Am Games,
Yes.
how this opportunity came, and what was the thing that you most enjoyed in Lima, besides of the food, because in Peru they have spectacular food.
Oh, unbelievable food. I got shown some pretty cool places, some pretty cool restaurants. I guess the opportunity popped up after meeting, the crew from the FIVB, or the International Federation of Volleyball, and the opportunity sort of popped up through connections within that sort of sporting world. So working in Tokyo last year and a part of the Volleyball Nations League there, the boss from there put me in touch with a colleague of hers. Excuse me, and yeah, she said, "Look, get in touch with this person, and we'll get you over to Peru." And within about maybe 3 weeks, the opportunity progressed and was actually happening and came to fruition. And yeah, all about connections and people. And yeah, I think from what I've learned the most is within the events and the opportunities that I've had is being able to, I guess, take every opportunity and treat it like it's an interview, essentially, where you don't really know who's watching. You don't know what opportunities may come from an event or a tournament that you may or may not work at. And the opportunity sort of came from there, where I was able to go over to Tokyo, work with DJ Starry, work with Mark Schulman, and just have a bit of fun and enjoy it. And it's sort of turned into the people you may know sort of thing. And they got in touch with a colleague, sent me to Peru, and again, I met more and more really amazing and unbelievable people within the sports presentation world. And obviously now I'm in touch with you and talking to one of the big guns and the legends of Mexico City DJing as well. So it's a cool thing, mate. Yeah, I guess that's sort of how it all popped up.
Yeah, it's great. And can you say that Lima has been your biggest event by far at this time?
Yeah, I would think by far, for sure. Obviously, the Volleyball Nations League is a very cool tournament. Yeah, but being able to work a part of the Pan American Games, it's the equivalent, I would say, of the Commonwealth Games that we have in Australia and within the Commonwealth, obviously. But yeah, being able to be a part of such a massive games like that, and being there for 6 weeks over in Lima, Peru, was an incredible opportunity. And like I say, mate, I enjoyed every single part of it, meeting people from not only Lima and Peru, but all around the world, and working with some pretty impressive and some pretty incredible people. And yeah, Lima, you guys over in South America, you know how to party, you know how to enjoy a sport, and you know how to enjoy a high profile tournament. It was yeah, it was very fun and very easy to work with, because everyone knows how to have a good time, for sure.
Right. Ben, do you remember which player or which players did you impress the most at that event?
That impressed me the most.
Yeah.
So I guess it's obviously it's a bit of an odd one. I don't have a great deal of Spanish language, so there was some very basic interactions with a few athletes and stuff like that. I met and spoke to some Americans and some Canadians. Actually, it was this time last year. I was able to hang out with a Canadian athlete by the name of Mike Platinga, and he was over there with his partner Aaron Nussbaum, and it was my birthday at the time, and was able to hang out and enjoy some interactions with them. But I think the most impressive teams last year that I got to hang out with outside of the English-speaking countries, like Canada, the USA, or something, was the Mexican team, was the Ontiveros and
Virgen.
That's the one. That's the one. Yeah, they were incredible.
But they were Pan Am champions in 2015 in Toronto. They were
Yes, that's
champions.
right. Yes. And then obviously the Chilean athletes as well. The
The Grimal cousins.
cousins. Yes, I made that mistake as well, thinking they were brothers, but they're actually cousins. And yeah, Marco and his name,
Uh,
Esteban. Esteban.
Esteban, yeah.
Yeah. They very impressive. Esteban is an incredible defender. It's like the defender from Mexico as well. That final was unbelievable. Being able to MC that was just an incredible game, and yeah, it was a pretty cool thing. And there was some animated people in the crowd. Countries from Cuba, from Puerto Rico, from
Argentina, Brazil.
Brazil, like all those really amazing countries and amazing athletes as well. Yeah, like it's hard to say. I guess it's easy to sort of pick out one or two teams. Obviously, the guys who make the finals are the ones who impress you. But yeah, everyone was unbelievable over that event. Like you say, it is probably the biggest tournament that I've worked in since being a part of the MC and the sporting world.
And you work also in indoor volleyball, right?
Yeah, correct. So that's not quite where I started the emceeing. It's definitely where I started playing. But yeah, beach volleyball was where I started the emceeing stuff. A little bit of indoor was sort of introduced when we hosted National Volleyball Nation League and all that sort of stuff here in Australia. But then, yeah, the indoor stuff really kicked off probably, when I met the FIVB crew and crowd, and yeah, did the Volleyball Nations League last year in Tokyo.
Yeah. Well, for this year, well, in the beginning of this year, which were the plans? You know that the plans have changed dramatically for all of us. But at the start of this year, which were your plans or your events for this year?
Yeah, so yeah, unfortunately, this year was going to be one of the bigger ones and one of the best ones. I was fortunate enough to be locked into the World Tour Beach Volleyball event in March this year in Australia.
Where?
In Australia. So
Oh,
yeah, on the Gold Coast in Australia.
the
Uh,
Gold Coast.
yeah, the Gold Coast. Yep, sunny Queensland. And the next event was going to be in Italy, and that was going to be the Beach Volleyball World Tour Finals. So that in Rome. So that would have been unbelievable. Last year, I watched the event, and it just looked incredible. After that was going to be the Volleyball Nations League Women's Finals in China, in Wuhan. And then after that, I had a great opportunity and was selected to MC at the Olympics at Tokyo 2020. So that was going to be a very big year, and huge opportunities to be a part of. And yeah, just obviously would have been forever grateful for those, I guess, opportunities initially to be put in my lap. But obviously with everything going on around the world and things changing, and the world being in the situation that it is in, it's unfortunately not meant to be this year. And there's talk of it, I guess, all progressing and happening again next year. So we'll fingers crossed it all sort of goes ahead, and everyone does the right thing around the world to look after each other and themselves. And yeah, looking forward to being able to get those stadiums full and those crowds and stands pumping.
Yeah. Well, as I told you, volleyball is starting to play in California precisely, but with no fans, with no crowds, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same feeling. It's not the same atmosphere. But well, at least it's something, and I hope that next year we can go back all to the thing we love most, that is volleyball.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I'm very jealous and envious of the American Volleyball Tour, the AVP, and I've had a few conversations with Mark as well, just to sort of see how it's all going and enjoying his presentation behind it all, and being able to watch the athletes do their thing. And the more events I've worked in, I had the opportunity last year, obviously in Peru, to meet Carissa Cook, and Jace Pardon, who won the gold medal for the United States last year at the Pan American Games, and the likes of Mark Burick, a huge personality in the beach volleyball world, not only in California there or the AVP, but around the world as well. He does some great things for the sport, and he's part of there, Ian Satterfield. So it's cool to be able to watch those athletes who I've personally met and had some conversations with. But yeah, just watching that high level and high profile volleyball and standard of the sport again. So like you say, mate, fingers crossed we can all get back to it and get back to what we're doing, what we love, and get back out in the sand or on the volleyball court and whatever it may be. And doing what we love and enjoying the sport that we love as well.
Yeah. Then, which players do you think, for you, in your opinion, are the hardest in both men and women in beach volleyball, or the players you like the most?
Ooh, I'm a big fan of the Italian defender Lupo.
Nicolai Lupo.
Yeah, Nicolai Lupo. He's like one of the most coolest and calmest sort of cats on the court. He's you look like he's very relaxed and just enjoying and loving what he does. He would be up there. I think I'll be one of the many thousands of people who love the new Norway combination. Sol and his partner there. So they are incredible when they hit the world tour, and they took it by storm. And then I guess there's Bruno from Brazil there, who's playing with Evandro right now, Evandro. Who else is there? There's the Esteban brothers. There's I'm a big fan. My favorite player from around the world has always been Casey Patterson. When I was playing my game,
he was here last week. Casey Patterson is a great character.
I watched. Of course, I watched. He obviously he's had an unbelievable career. He's done some really cool things, and the reason why I found him to be my favorite player was the way that he sort of conducted himself and held himself on the beach volleyball court. He very, very interactive, very animated. Loved being able to interact with the fans, enjoy and celebrate each individual point, and just enjoy himself on the court, really. And obviously not to that sort of standard or not to that level, but I would enjoy my beach volleyball on the court and have a lot of fun and be interactive with the crowd and loving the music that's playing behind me and just enjoying each and every point. And like Casey Patterson sort of was one of those players that just you could look and watch and enjoy the sport and enjoy the game purely because he was half the entertainment. He was the one who was jumping around and having a good time. So I had the pleasure of meeting him last year in Manly in Sydney. He came down and played an event there. At the time, his partner was Chase Buttinger. That was an incredible game to announce and MC, and met him and was able to have a good chat and hang out and catch up with him. So to this day, it's been great, and still being able to flick a message and say, check in and say hello and all that sort of thing. And hopefully one day we'll catch up and do it all again sometime. Well,
right now he changed a partner. He's right now playing with Theo Brunner.
He is, yeah. No, it's he's played with. He was actually. I was watching the AVP the other day. He's played with a lot of different players on the AVP, and Mark was interviewing. Mark Schulman was interviewing him the other day, and he said, what's it like, competing against all your old partners and all that sort of thing. And Casey goes, well, every single game that I play these days is against an old partner because I just keep swapping and changing. So he goes, nothing really changes. It's just the fact that, there's just another partner or an old partner on the other side of the court. So, he's swapping and changing every year. And I think he's one of those high profile players and one of those very many talented players who can actually do that, where people want to play for him or clearly are lining up to play with him. So it's a pretty cool thing. And people can only dream of being at that standard one day where you can pick and choose who you play for and enjoy the sport that you love the most, for sure.
Yes, I also really love the way Casey Patterson plays, the way Casey Patterson interacts with the crowd. He's a great character, and I'm very fortunate that he accepted to be here last week. Very very glad.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
in the indoor side, Ben,
Indoor side. I think I've been around beach volleyball too long now. I'm trying to think of the players. Bruno, the Brazilian setter, incredible. One of the coolest people I think I've ever met would be Maruf from Iran.
Saeed Marouf, great setter,
Oh, unbelievable. And
unbelievable.
yeah, like, he's a very, very nice guy as well. I had the opportunity to meet and interview him last year in Tokyo, and just a cool cat, like cool, calm, and collected, and just goes about his business. And been around the national level, the international level for years and years and years, and very, very cool guy. But I guess, one of the other big players, Lucarelli.
Ricardo Lecarelli from Brazil,
Well,
great guy.
a very, very cool guy. Um, who else is there? Matt Anderson from the United States. He's very impressive. But the up and comer, the amazing talent from Japan, Yuji Nishida.
Yeah, the new opposite, the new sensation.
Wow, he's 20 years old. I don't think he's much taller than me. I'm 6'1", 185, 186 sort of centimeters, and he's an unbelievable talent. Unbelievable. Watching when I was in Tokyo last year, obviously was able to enjoy watching them play, but I saw them training as well. And he's developed a very impressive angle swing that he's hit from position 1 or 2, depending on where he swings from, front court, back court. And the impressive angle that he's, I guess, produced or developed, hitting towards position 1 or 2 on the other side of the court, but so quick, so explosive, so powerful. He'd be right up there as well in terms of the favorite players. I'm trying to think who else. There's just too many, isn't there? They're all incredible players. The people I met last year as well, they'd be pretty high up there. I met Yanagita from Japan as well, and had a good chat with him. There's too many. they're just all incredible players. Yeah, that's unbelievable. Probably one of the biggest. I'm a big fan of a few of the Australian athletes as well. So Arash Desange, the setter, and he's the setter, and he's, I guess, aggressiveness around the.
He's too tall, right? Yeah,
he's very tall. Yeah, very tall, and he's got a very big jump, and his block is. I wouldn't go as far as probably one of the biggest in the world, but it's very, very up there. And like I say, his aggressiveness around the ball. So, being able to set and play, set up plays and whatever else around the ball. But if the pass is good enough, he'll, obviously drop a hand and then take it and, put it down on 2 sort of things. So, and he's known for that. He's sort of around the world known for his aggressiveness around that. Keeping the defensive players and the blockers on their toes. But apart from that, the other couple of players in the Australian men's team would be Lincoln Williams. I grew up playing volleyball with him. He was on my junior state team playing at a national level. And Luke Perry, you can't look past him, one of the best liberos around the world.
Thomas Edgar is still playing with the national team?
He was. I think he was when I say think, he was definitely a part of the Australian men's team in the Olympic qualifiers. Don't know where he stands with everything now. It's I think he's still playing some professional volleyball overseas. He was recently in Japan. Whether he signed another contract there or not, I'm not actually sure. But yeah, Thomas Edgar, or his nickname Boxy. Boxy, yeah, Boxy. I think the name came from him, how he's obviously a very, very tall and big athlete. And I guess the nickname came from, he's got quite big hands, and the nickname came from his hand being placed on a pizza box, however big that is, and being, the size and the width of a pizza box. Wow. So Boxy, I think, is where it comes from. That's what I've been told. Nobody quote me there.
It made good sense.
Yeah. So yeah, he's a big guy, but yeah, the likes of Jordan Richards, Tom Hodges, Harrison Peacock, Bo Graham, all these guys. That current national team, I've actually grew up playing against, and had the I guess the pleasure and privilege of playing with on the volleyball court as well. So yeah, mate, like I said, too many top players around the world that I can say that I'm a big fan of.
I totally agree with you with Said Maruf is great, with Matt Anderson. In
Yeah.
my side, I can add Luciano De Checo, the Argentinian setter. It's great
Yes.
player. And Facundo Conte, the Argentinian
I
player.
was about to say him. Yeah.
It's
Amazing
great.
player. Yeah.
Well, his father was here a month and a half ago, Hugo Conte, big legend from the 80s of the Argentina national team. Hugo
Yeah. Wow.
Conte.
Okay.
Yeah,
That would have been a cool conversation.
yes. Well, with Hugo Conte was great. He's a great dude. Facundo Conte, and also this guy from Canada, the opposite, Sharon Vernon Evans. It's a
Yeah.
monster. It's a
Yeah. Okay.
monster.
Yeah.
Well, it's always good to talk with people who knows very well of volleyball like you. I'm very honored.
Oh, I'm getting there. I'm learning, slowly learning people around the world, and slowly getting to hang out and meet all these unbelievable athletes around the world. Fingers crossed we're all back to doing it very, very soon, and meeting those guys, and everyone's back doing like you say, doing what they love. But yeah, regardless of the events I go to, regardless of the people I get to hang out with, it's you're still very starstruck. You sort of sit back and you can talk about the sport and you can talk about the players on court. But even to this day, if for example, Phil Dowhauser walks past me, I'll just be like, it's just one of those things. You're just in awe of the incredible athletes that they are. So yeah, it's a cool thing.
Or April Ross, or
Oh,
people like
yeah.
that.
I met Kerry Walsh. She came to Australia last year. Kerry Walsh Jennings, sorry. Yeah, just unbelievable. One of the nicest people you'll ever meet as well. And yeah, obviously one of the most decorated women's beach volleyball athletes around the world as well. Very impressive resume, very impressive career. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and she says that she's open to play for Paris the 24. That if it's possible, yeah,
I
she will
did see
play.
that.
Yeah,
That's
last week she said that.
Oh, I think she said last week he said no, like that's still what, 3.5 years away, 4 years away. Yeah, absolutely. Like, and there's at this stage there's no stopping her. It would be an incredible thing because I think she's been to 6 Olympics, five or this Olympics here would have been number 6, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like obviously, like we say, one of the most decorated and impressive resumes of a beach volleyball career as it is. But yeah, mate, if she can go to Paris or Paris,
Paris.
yeah, that would be unbelievable. But yeah, like I said, mate, she came to Australia last year and beautiful person. And yeah, very, very impressive.
Yeah. Okay, Ben. Thanks for sharing. Have you had the opportunity to go to the Commonwealth Games? It's played every 4 years or every two.
Every 4 years. So it works. So I guess if you look at an international sport calendar or whatever else like that, the Olympics is every 4 years. So it's 2020, 2024, whatever it may be. The Commonwealth Games operates every 2 years between that. So the 2018 was the last one. 2022 is the next one, and that's in Birmingham in England,
Right.
or in the UK, United Kingdom. So I personally, unfortunately, haven't been to a Commonwealth Games. We had. I don't. I'm pretty disappointed in myself in the fact that I didn't actually get to go to the Commonwealth Games in 2018 when we hosted on the Gold Coast and all that sort of thing. At that point as well, still pretty new to the emceeing and the sports presentation world. But believe me, I was watching all the games and getting into it and watching obviously our Aussie boys, Damien Schumann, Chris McHugh win the gold medal there against Canada, which was unbelievable. That was huge. Obviously, like our the Australian girls as well, Maria Fay and Taliqua, not quite getting the gold or the top spot, but obviously they were competing against the world champions, not then, but a year later. So a world class team for those games. But yeah, put on a show. I think the Australian fans, it was great because we exposed and presented the beach volleyball sport in such a huge way. And people loved it and enjoyed it. And that's what I was excited about this year was the fact that we could actually have, sort of the beach volleyball or world class or world standard volleyball come back to this country and, to the exact same beach as well, where the Commonwealth Games were held and where the sport and the country had so much success on it. So, I'd love to think I will be in Birmingham in 2 years' time and being a part of that sports presentation and going from there. But, only time will tell. And, I'll just sort of keep doing the opportunities and taking the opportunities as they come and just enjoying and, bouncing around the world and having a good time.
Yeah, okay. I hope you can make it.
Yeah, fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed.
Well, Ben, let's talk a little about music.
Yes.
Which songs, which tunes do you think works the best with the crowds? There are a lot in English and Spanish, but there are
Yeah.
some
Yep.
hymns of sports. I have my selection, but I want to hear your selection. Which music do you think works the
Yeah. Okay.
most with people?
Yeah. It varies. It varies per country, per crowd, per game, as well, per point. You might have at the start of a point or a start of a tournament, you might have your number one seed against your 23rd seed or whatever it may be. So it's not necessarily a big game, but when it comes to the world tour, every game is going to be big and it's going to be exciting. Depending on the crowd sizes and the type of crowd as well. And obviously DJ Roche would have spoken about this in terms of, how you actually gauge a crowd. So you'll be looking into the crowd, seeing who's animated, seeing who's not, and it's a very tough gig as a DJ, being able to analyze and watch the crowd. And those guys make it look easy. DJ Starry, Roche, all that sort of thing. They make it look easy. But in terms of music selection, it varies per tournament, per game. You might start with a bit of R&B and a bit of easygoing music. You might just have some summer vibes music. But when there's a huge point or a big play, and there's a crowd who's animated and right into it, sort of thing, you might play an absolute banger. You might play a huge drop that allows the crowd just to get into it and clap their hands to the beat and all that sort of thing. And you would have seen the World Championships in Hamburg last year. You would have seen the Vienna.
Vienna was crazy. Vienna was amazing.
The major series. That's all DJ Starry. That's all Toby and Starry. That's all those guys. And the fans know what to expect. They understand how the beach volleyball works and the party atmosphere that people can create. And that's what I guess in Australia we're trying to produce is that sort of atmosphere and that sort of interaction. Within Australia where we can get fans and crowds to, I guess, really understand the sport, enjoy the sport, and know that like beach volleyball itself is actually a party. It's good fun. It's a good time. So music selection, it's hard to say that I have a favorite song. It's hard to say that I have a favorite genre. Myself personally, I'm always listening to music and hearing music and thinking, that might work good in this situation of a tournament or this situation of a point. So, I might have a Spotify playlist on and just, listening to a random playlist, whatever it may be, whatever genre. And, I might screenshot the song because, it sounds really cool. And in my head, I'm driving the car or I'm at work or whatever it may be and thinking.
Or with Shazam, right? Sometimes I hear some music and with Shazam, hey, what's that song?
Oh, it's just Shazam, correct. Absolutely. Yeah. I actually have a bunch of songs I need to go and, search and find or whatever else to put into a playlist and to actually create. And, it's a fun thing. Like you're sitting there in your car and, you're driving along, you hear a good song and you go, I can use that song in this situation. And I find myself sometimes as well. And, hopefully the other MCs around the world have my back in this sort of situation where I'll be like, start to announce because I can hear a song and all that sort of stuff, and I'll announce in my car like I'm practicing or I'm training or whatever it may be, just sort of enjoying the moment because you sort of visualize yourself with a bit of music and enjoying that sort of moment or situation. So yeah, it's hard to say I have a favorite song though.
But well, I think you can agree that Queen is very good for sports, that AC/DC is very good for sports.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
and some hip hop music and artists are very good for sport, like Kendrick Lamar or Drake. They always works great.
Yeah, no, it's obviously, yeah, you can get some instrumental versions and the lyrics of Drake and Kendrick Lamar and all that sort of thing. You might have to censor and whatever else of that. But yeah, it's the beats behind the music that the people feel, and you put a couple of good speakers in the crowd or a couple of big subwoofers or whatever else in the crowd, and people feel and enjoy the music that it is, and you play the most popular music or the common music because people relate to that the most, and that's what they're listening to, whether it's on the radio or Spotify or whatever it may be. So around the world, it varies. There are songs and there are bands, like you say, AC/DC, who everyone knows, for example. You can play a really good rocking track there and everyone really gets into it. So it varies per crowd, it varies per stadium, per court, per game, per player even. You can get reactions out of players as well, based on the song and the music you play.
Well, there is a new ESPN project. I hope you can hear it. It's called Hype Hymns Hype Hymns in the Spotify and in Apple Music. It's a selection of the best for in the sports music for stadiums.
Okay.
Hype Hymns.
Yeah, right. High. And what's
Hype
the? Oh, hype. Yep.
Hype. HYPE. No,
Yep.
HYPI. Yeah.
Yep.
Hype Hymns. Okay.
All right. Okay. I'll have to check it out. And it's from ESPN, you think?
Yeah, it's a project from ESPN.
Hype times. I think.
Hype Hymns.
Okay. All right. I'll definitely have a look at that. That's it looks pretty good already. I can see bits and pieces of the playlist. Looks very good.
Well, Ben, which Australian music of bands do you can you tell us to hear?
Ooh. I mean, there's all those club favorites or pub favorites around the traps. There's I guess Australian music would be Daryl Braithwaite is an old classic. You got to go back to the real rock and roll, like the 80s and the 90s. I'm a huge 90s fan. Love my 90s music. I don't really have a particular genre that I like. I'll just listen to music that sort of gets me moving and enjoying the beat and the song. But yeah, so your 80s and 90s, your rock and roll, back when music was actually played as opposed to pushed and all that sort of stuff. It's one of those. I guess I can't really pinpoint a genre. I can't pinpoint any bands. I mean, AC/DC, Daryl Braithwaite, Kiss, like a little bit of old school Offspring. But then, you got your 90s bands and stuff like that as well. I can't even, there's so many run through my head. But yeah, I'm a huge 90s fan. Definitely jump on. I just type into Spotify or YouTube or whatever it may be and just type in 90s playlist and away it goes. And I'll be set. I'll be happy for the day.
That's great. Well, Ben, the time
Time's disappeared, has it?
Yeah, this goes
Wow.
very fast. It has been a great talk with you. A very respected talk with you for a long time. But well, hopefully we we coincide in the schedule, in the agenda. I'm very honored that you accepted the invite here to the Volley Talks to talk about volleyball, beach volleyball, music, of course. And I'm very glad that you accepted, Ben. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the people who watch us and listen us. And please, can you give us a final words for the people who are watching us and listening us?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Firstly, I just want to thank you for having me and hosting me. I think it's an amazing thing you get to do with athletes, coaches, high-profile people within our wonderful sport. So, Thank you to you, mate. Really appreciate you having me on here. In terms of all the people around the world and the fans and stuff like that, like, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and checking in. Make sure you watch, this guy do his thing. Hopefully we see him more and more around the world. Like we say, we get to work together, we get to work and enjoy the wonderful sport that it is. But like I said, mate, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And fingers crossed we touch base one day again soon and get to absolutely, 100% get to absolutely operate and jam and pump out an event together. But guys, tune in and stay tuned with there's absolute legend behind all the interviews. Thank you again, mate. Appreciate it.
No, thanks a lot to you for being here, for making the time to be here. I really like you. You're a very kind, funny person, and I hope that we can work pretty soon in a volleyball event. I will be very glad.
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. Hopefully sooner rather than later, for sure.
Okay, Ben, please stay safe, stay at home the most possible, and I hope that this corona things can go away pretty soon.
Yeah, thank you, mate. You too. Take it easy. All the best.
Okay, all the best to Melbourne, Australia, with our guest, Ben Abbott, in this episode, number 84 of the Volley Talks. Thanks a lot, Ben.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
See ya.
See you later. Bye.